South Africa. Bertin Sow Agba, sudden disappearance that raises questions. The Togolese justice ordered on Tuesday the provisional release of the richest businessman Bertin Sow Agba, arrested since March 2011 in the notorious international fraud case and imprisoned in the Tsevié Civil Prison. The news surprised more than one Togolese to the extent that no one expected this release. It is all the more surprising that the Supreme Court had already, about a year ago, ordered the release of Bertin Sow Agba against the payment of $150 million bail. Bond was given, but the prisoner was never released. This release comes after that of Loic Le Floch Prigent and Pascal Akau Bajona, arrested in the same case. She justifies those who think this international scam is just an empty file that served nothing but personal account settlements. The Independent Express of the 16th of April, 2013. Bertin Sow Agba, Togolese businessman, in his 60s, arrested in March 2011 in a rocky scam case, with rather blurred contours and especially at the looks of account settlements. Exiled after his release from prison in South Africa, is no more. Our investigation of some of the relatives of the illustrious missing man allows us to say that the man was in good health, and that nothing predicted such a tragic and almost sudden end. Our compatriot went quietly to eat with friends in a restaurant on Wednesday, the 17th of May, 2023. After the meal, he felt persistent discomfort and ended up undergoing pancreatic surgery the same day. Gives back Thursday afternoon. Seoul. These are the circumstances behind the sudden disappearance of Bertin Sow Agba. Natural death. Death provoked. We can't answer for certainty. Still, the deceased was not just anybody. That's why his death, far from Togo, interrogates and forces us to review the circumstances that brought him to prison in March 2011 and which ultimately, fearing for his life, forced him to leave his country to be in Africa from the south. Mr. Agba's interview to a TV channel few years after fleeing Togo, today rings as a testament. In the interview we listened to, the injured man had extensively returned to the misadventure he was a victim of in his home country. He did not go through 4 ways to demonstrate that the alleged affair of fraud for which he spent 2 years and 45 days in the civil prison of Tsevié, was just a set-up, a political ferocity whose real target was none other than Pascal Bajona, former Minister of Territorial Administration. So Mr. Bertin Sow Agba had categorically rejected the fact that he had scammed anyone and challenged the Togolese justice system, which, according to his allegations, knew well that the file was empty, to provide him with evidence, in which case it would be ready to refund the faraminous amount in question. According to his terms, as always, to back up his claims, he did not fail, in the interview, to remember the market, from for Nasing Bey himself, which was offered to him to burden his cousin from the village Pascal Bajona, in order to regain freedom. The most sinister part of his speech that does not honor our country's human rights, especially the treatment of our citizens in detention, was his 10 days of torture he suffered from in prison. This filthy bastion was handled by a superior officer of the Togolese army and his men. Asked why he had decided to leave Togo while on probation, Mr. Agba pointed out a Togolese justice system that he found unsafe to trust. Information indicating that they would be sought to arrest them again, he and Bajona, would have come to him, which is why he had to go to exile. In South Africa, he had, according to his own claims, the status of a political refugee. He had reaffirmed his desire to return one day to the country where he was born, and above all, he had not hidden his political ambitions and his good relations with the political authorities in his country. Welcome, the drop of water that overflowed the vase in the circles of power in Lomé and who signed his death warrant. Bertin Sow Agba was a successful businessman. Had he been born and lived in a normal country, he would have enjoyed the freedom and support of the state, which an ordinary citizen like him needs. He would have created jobs for the youth of his country, and perhaps could have turned his political ambitions into reality, a legitimate right for any citizen of any self-respecting country. But we are in Togo, and the wickedness of men or fate decided otherwise. Our condolences to the bereaved family and all who knew Mr. Bertin Sow Agba closely. May the earth be light to him and his soul rest in peace. Chijobo Youth.